Virginia Giuffre is dead. The fourth suicide connected to a sex ring of the rich and powerful. This as the feds are set to release damning files pointing the finger at who? Darn. And now Giuffre won't get to be a witness. What a coinky dink. I mean, what are the Vegas odds that 4 people connected to the Epstein sex ring, child sex ring, die of suicide? What are the Vegas odds? Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
Virginia Giuffre is a 16-year-old locker room attendant in a-Lago when she is approached by socialite Ghislaine Maxwell to work as a traveling masseuse for her associate, American financier Jeffrey Epstein. Over the promise of a $200 rate per massage, Virginia eagerly accepts.
Per massage? My rear end. This was just a little girl, like so many of the other little girls that were lured in by Epstein, who many insist did not commit suicide behind bars. Lured in by Epstein and his henchperson, Beelzebub from hell, Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, she, at this moment, is trying to seek a presidential pardon. She was convicted for her role in this. Wow, do you think Virginia's testimony could have thrown a wrench in that presidential pardon? Think about it. Joining me, an all-star panel. But first, to Crime Stories investigative reporter Dave Mack. Dave Mack, are you telling me with a straight face, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all, because I don't think people can keep their pie holes shut long enough for a conspiracy to actually work. But you're telling me, Dave Mack, that Virginia Giuffre dies of suicide. What's the cause of death? How did she die? Who was with her? Where was she? Wasn't she just released from the hospital? You're telling me that she was released while suicidal? And where did this happen exactly? Wasn't it near Gabby, Australia? Population 268 on the last census. 156 males, 112 females. Median age 41. Dave Mack, you're telling me that in near Gabby, Australia, they have a top-notch forensics team that knows beyond a shadow of a doubt that she committed suicide with the backdrop of 3 other witnesses, potential witnesses in a federal sex ring case. They all die of suicide. You know, Dave Mack, in Russia, they push you out of a window. So Dave Mack, tell me about Virginia's suicide.
Well, what we know about Virginia's suicide, Nancy, actually comes from her family, because there has been no official cause of death that has been placed in the public for any of us to see. It's being used as clickbait all over, but we don't actually have a real cause of death yet. What we have is the family saying she took her own life. We don't know anything more than that, except for this, Nancy. She was actually staying at she was separated from her husband and staying at their farmhouse, a $1.3 million farmhouse in an area, as you mentioned, that is very lightly populated. Her brothers were staying with her in this farmhouse. She's 4 weeks removed from leaving the hospital, as you mentioned, and she is there apparently, if we are to believe what we're being told, that she committed suicide in the middle of a $1 million plus farm mansion, and she is the one person.
Okay, hold on just a moment. Dave Mack, I don't recall asking you to put the farm mansion up on real estate sites. Okay, we'll get back to the, as you say, $1 million mansion in just a moment. I'm asking you about the COD. Now, we don't have a cause of death. That has not been released. We don't know if there's been an autopsy. Here in the U.S., of course, there would be an autopsy immediately whenever there's a question. Was there an autopsy? Was there a toxicology screening? You just stated, Dave Mack, that her family said it's a suicide. Well, let me differ with you, because her father, her own father, is calling for an investigation, as is her sister-in-law and others. They say that she specifically stated, if I die, believe me, I did not commit suicide. Listen to this.
Family of Virginia Giuffre, led by her father, Sky Roberts, are asking her death be investigated. Roberts tells TMZ, Virginia said if she ever died by suicide, not to believe it. Virginia herself shares comments about suicide in response to something said on social media, writing, I'm making it publicly known that in no way, shape, or form am I suicidal. If something happens to me, in the sake of my family, do not let this go away and help me to protect them. Too many evil people want to see me quieted.
So, Dave Mack, I'm not quite sure where you're getting your information, but you just heard the father and the sister-in-law, who is speaking on behalf of the brother, is demanding an investigation.
Was Virginia Giuffre silenced? A survivor's death that demands scrutiny. Virginia Giuffre was not just a victim of Jeffrey Epstein. She was the linchpin witness in exposing an international web of elite abuse, blackmail, and government complicity. Her detailed testimonies led to Prince Andrew being stripped of royal duties and eventually settling out of court. She named figures such as Harvard lawyer Alan Dershowitz, model scout Jean-Luc Brunel, and made allusions to Donald Trump's presence in Epstein's social orbit, though she did not directly accuse Trump of abuse. Still, her disclosures helped lift the veil on how far Epstein's reach extended. Virginia was recruited at age 16 while working at Donald Trump's resort in Palm Beach. She was approached by Ghislaine Maxwell under the guise of becoming a traveling massuse. Instead, she was trafficked to powerful men, flown on the now infamous Lolita Express, and subjected to ongoing abuse. In her sworn depositions, she recalled Epstein's obsession with recording encounters via hidden cameras. Insurance, she believed, used to compromise world leaders and billionaires alike. These weren't vague recollections. She named names, recalled locations, and turned over flight logs, photographs, and a manuscript she had written long before Epstein's death. Her story remained consistent for over a decade, even as she endured public smears, legal retaliation, and threats. And then, just months before the DOJ released its shocking July 2025 memo claiming there was no Epstein client list, Virginia was found dead by suicide in her remote Australian farmhouse. This came after a bizarre March car crash involving a school bus, which she claimed left her in renal failure. Authorities later called the crash minor, but Virginia publicly posted she had only 4 days to live. She survived that scare only to allegedly take her own life weeks later, following a violent separation from her husband and a custody battle that left her isolated from her children. This timing cannot be dismissed as coincidence. Her father believes someone got to her. Her diaries documented domestic violence and fear. And yet, just as she stepped back from public advocacy, she dies. Days before the DOJ claims, no list exists, undermining her life's work. And the cases of dozens of other survivors. The no-list narrative reeks of political cleanup. Epstein's death in custody was never fully explained. Ghislaine Maxwell sits in prison, convicted of trafficking girls to no one. Now the one woman brave enough to name names Virginia has conveniently been erased. We must demand an independent inquiry, not only into her death, but into the DOJ's suppression of evidence. The public deserves to know, who was Epstein really protecting, and who is still being protected?